Hey, I'm Alex and today I'm going to walk through a real-world look at the LeApex 133-inch electric retractable screen so you can decide if it actually solves the problems you've been wrestling with. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I know a lot of people feel stuck between a cheap fabric that sags after a few months and a pricey motorized screen that promises studio quality but ends up being a nightmare to mount in a typical living room or home office. First off, why does a screen matter at all? If you've ever tried to watch a movie on a blank wall or a low-gain whiteboard, you quickly learn that the image can look washed out, especially when you're using a projector that leans toward a cooler color temperature. The gray fabric on this LeApex model is meant to boost contrast, which is a real advantage if you're in a room that can't be fully darkened. The 0.9 gain isn't a dramatic boost, but it does give you a subtle depth boost without making the picture look too bright in daylight. That's the sweet spot for most home theater setups where you have a few windows you can't completely black out. Now, let's talk about the electric part. The screen rolls down with a motor that you control via a small wall-mounted switch. What I liked during testing was the automatic leveling system. When the screen hits the bottom, a tiny sensor makes a micro-adjustment to keep the surface perfectly flat. In practice, that means you won't notice those little ripples that sometimes appear on cheaper pull-down screens when the fabric catches on the roller. If you're the type who wants to press a button and have the screen appear fully taut, that automatic leveling is the part that justifies the extra cost over a manual pull-down. Installation is another area where buyers get nervous. The product ships with a set of brackets that bolt directly into a wall or ceiling joist, and the instructions are fairly straightforward: just a few screws, a drill, and you're done. The only thing to watch out for is the depth of the mounting area. Because the screen is 133 inches wide, you need at least a 12-inch clearance behind the wall for the housing. If you're in a shallow stud wall, you might have to reinforce the area or use a ceiling mount instead. That's a hidden trade-off that many people overlook until they try to install it themselves. From a daily use perspective, the screen behaves the way you'd expect from a motorized model. The pull-down speed is moderate, about 2 seconds from fully retracted to fully extended, so it feels smooth and not jerky. The remote control is optional, but the wall switch is solid and doesn't feel cheap. I ran a 1080p projector at a 2.5 meter throw distance and the image filled the screen edge to edge without any noticeable hot spotting. The gray surface handled the projector's native contrast pretty well, dark scenes retained detail, and bright scenes didn't blow out. If you're using a 4K or HDR source, the gain is low enough that you won't lose detail in the highlights, but you also won't get the punch that a high-gain white screen would give you. In other words, the screen is a balanced choice for mixed-content movies, sports, and occasional gaming. Who should consider this screen? First, anyone who already owns a projector and has been living with a makeshift wall or a low-grade manual screen will notice an immediate upgrade in picture quality and convenience. It's especially good for people with dedicated media rooms where they can run a short power line to the motor and hide the housing behind a cabinet or a recessed niche. If you're a gamer who wants a quick pop-up screen for occasional couch sessions, the motorized feature saves you from having to manually roll out a heavy fabric every time you want to play. On the flip side, if you're on a tight budget or you only watch movies once a month, you might be better off with a fixed-frame screen or even a simple white sheet. The motor adds a few $100s to the total cost, and you also need to factor in the price of a suitable power outlet or an extension cord that can reach the screen's housing. People who live in rental apartments might also hit a snag. The mounting brackets require drilling into the wall, which many landlords won't allow without a deposit. In those scenarios, a portable tripod screen could be a more flexible solution. One practical weakness I observed is the screen's weight. The gray fabric, while thicker than a standard white mat, adds a couple of pounds to the rolling assembly. If you ever need to manually pull the screen for maintenance, say, to clean dust off the surface, the motor's resistance can feel a bit stiff. It's not a deal breaker, but it means you should be comfortable with the idea that the screen isn't meant to be taken in and out frequently. Also, the gray color, while great for contrast, does